Well, as you may have guessed, today's adventure is hiking. If you've been following my journey, you know that I live full-time in my campervan, and I just spent the winter in Southern California surfing and mountain biking, and for the past few weeks I've slowly been making my way home to Saskatchewan, Canada. I'm currently just outside Kamloops, British Columbia, where I have been visiting a friend, and I decided to camp a few days outside of Kamloops. I'm camping at a place called Isabelle Lake, and the big draw here is a low mobility or accessible hiking trail. I have been to this hike before. Back in the summer of 2017, I had just been dumped by a guy we'll affectionately call Oompa Loompa. The reasons he gave for breaking up with me all involved my mobility and my disability, and he listed reasons such as I couldn't play frisbee on the beach with him and I couldn't go hiking. Obviously, I was incredibly gutted. It really confirmed one of my biggest fears, is that somebody could like me, but they had an issue with my disability or the way it might hold me back from activities and maybe not make me the best partner or fit for them. Growing up, we did all sorts of outdoor activities like camping, hiking, downhill skiing. We'd take portage trips in the summer, and once I had my spinal cord injury, I just really put all of that on hold, and I focused on the safe thing, which was wheelchair sports. And I traveled all around the world with that, and I had a great life, but I hadn't really explored anything in the outdoors. I thought the outdoors were so inaccessible. Just 2 weeks after that breakup, I had to head out on a road trip for a speaking engagement, and I had never done anything like that at that point. I'd never even been camping as an adult, and that breakup kind of fired me up a little bit. I wanted to make this road trip as epic as I could. So I packed up my little Honda Element SUV and I went camping. I went whitewater rafting, I went kayaking, I biked a rail trail near Nelson, British Columbia, and then I was visiting my friend Jess in Kamloops, and she suggested I come to Isabelle Lake and borrow her off-road wheelchair and take it on the hike here at the lake. So I packed a lunch, borrowed her wheelchair, and headed out here to Isabelle Lake, and I went hiking for the very first time. I remember about half an hour into that hike, I stopped and I realized that for the first time ever in my life, I was alone in nature. I didn't have a cell signal. That realization just really got my heart pumping, and my first instinct was to be afraid and think of all the things that could go wrong. The wheelchair could break down, or I could injure myself on the trail and be stuck, and maybe I'd run into somebody that had ill intentions. But then I talked myself out of all those fear thoughts and just was able to focus on all the amazing positive things that this hike was doing for me. It showed me that with the right equipment and the right trail, hiking is totally within my realm of possibility. I finished off this hike and I thought to myself, wow, that was such an amazing experience. But how will I ever replicate that? I don't own an off-road wheelchair like the one my friend lent me. And it's not like there are many of these accessible hikes, especially not where I live in Saskatchewan. Well, I received my answer a few days later when I drove through Canmore, Alberta, and I rented my first adaptive mountain bike.
Lisa on a mountain bike. Holy yeah, you're motoring. Really doing it.
That bike could really handle some tough terrain, and I could cover a lot more ground in a shorter period of time. After seeing the things I could do and the places I could go on an adaptive mountain bike, I knew I had to find a way to get my own, and shortly after I did, and since then, I've never looked back. Having an adaptive mountain bike opened up the world to me, and I've seen amazing things and gone on incredible bike rides. That trip completely sparked my adventurous spirit, and since then, I've pushed the boundaries on what it is I think is possible in the outdoors. Well, I've done enough sitting around and talking. It's time to get back on the trail. Let's explore the rest of Isabelle Lake. I borrowed my friend's chair again for today's hike. It's different than the one I use every day because it's got one big front wheel, which rolls over rocks and soft dirt easier. The back tires are thicker, more like mountain bike tires. They're even angled, which gives the chair more stability on side slopes. The hike is a 3.2-kilometer loop. The trail itself is wide, firmly packed, doesn't have any obstacles or steep inclines. This makes it perfect for people with mobility devices, families, or those who can't walk as far and need to stop and rest more often. There is a shelter right over there that I stopped at. Another dock over there. And the trailhead where I started is just past that point. There are 2 of these docks along the lake, and look, they've got little holders for your fishing rod, I think. The lake is stocked with rainbow trout, and it's making me wish I had brought a fishing rod. We are about to approach the steepest section I've run into so far, and I know video doesn't do it justice, but it's kind of a long uphill, so I'm gonna have to take my time on this one. This would be a lot easier if my abs worked. Pretty much my version of leg day right now. We're almost there. just need a break. Gonna turn sideways. Take a little break. And my legs get shaking when I'm exerting myself. I just have to get to the crest right there. It's maybe 10 meters. All right, I can do it. Okay. I made it. Let's see, let's take a look. Let's see if you can even tell how steep it is from here. Yeah, that looks like nothing, but it was something for me, I'll tell you. Totally doable though, because got these guys. I can get remarkably close to the water here even, which is a rare thing. If it was a hot summer day, I'd even consider going for a swim, but it's a cool spring day. Check this out. An accessible pit toilet right in the middle of nowhere. They did such a good job with this trail. It's amazing. I have to celebrate a little win like that. And that's the way I'm headed. And apparently I'm not allowed in that direction. Thank you for the notice. That was the perfect hike. It wasn't too short, it wasn't too long, it wasn't a piece of cake by any means. There were some challenging, steeper sections that I got a good workout going up, and it was rustic. A lot of times when people try to make things accessible, they get sort of a institutionalized feel, if you know what I mean. I was expecting pavement, but the ground was hard, but it was still very natural, and I just felt like I was in nature, and you couldn't even tell that it was made for mobility. Aside from the occasional wheelchair symbol that showed the accessible route, it looked like any natural setting, just any other hike that's out there. I have a lot of appreciation for the people that designed and built that trail. I wish there were many more of them out there, but all in all, it was a really perfect day. As I take my last glimpses at Isabelle Lake, I can't help but wonder where my life would have taken me if I had never met Oompa Loompa and embarked on that epic 2-week road trip to prove that I could still adventure in the outdoors. Would I have discovered mountain biking? or kayaking? Would I even live in a van? I guess I'll never know, and that's okay with me because I am exactly where I am supposed to be. So to Oompa Loompa, wherever you are, thank you. My efforts to prove you wrong ignited my adventure-loving spirit. As I sit here recounting my adventures over the past few years, I know that my wheelchair is not a limitation. In fact, it's a useful tool in the dating world that automatically filters out people that only see it as a limitation. The only question that remains is, what will my next adventure be? If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, keep it wheel, everyone.